Peace, power, and prosperity. Rob Blackstone. What's up, everybody? Hope you're enjoying this lunar eclipse energy. It is intense. There is a sense of depth about it. Um, it's very powerful. It's very passionate. It's very sexual. It's very orgasmic, right? There's a sense to where you want to connect with people, but you want to connect with people there's two polarities, right? Because there's always a polarity. There's always an as above, so below. There's always a bottom and an upper. There's always a matter and a consciousness. Consciousness, will, matter, energy, right? So there's always those two polarities that are constantly in battle. So on the flip side, the low vibration, the negative polarity is people bonding out of selfishness, right? Scorpio is a sign that is the sting of a scorpion, right? But this is Scorpio on its lowest level. When you're dealing with the scorpion, you're actually dealing with Scorpio on its lowest level. Now, even though it does look like a scorpion when you look at the constellation, it's also representative of a phoenix as well. So when you're looking at Scorpio, the transformational aspect of Scorpio, the higher aspect of Scorpio is actually that of a phoenix. And what a phoenix is the phoenix rises from the ashes in the morning. The Egyptian or the Kemetic story is that in the morning when the sun hits what was the Ben stone, which was basically a stone on the top of the pyramids, right? So this was a stone on top of on the pyramids, a capstone, where the phoenix would come land at night. So where the phoenix would come land at night, and when the sun hit the Ben stone in the morning, then the phoenix would rise again. Right, so the phoenix would rise again from the ashes that is on the Ben stone, and then the phoenix would turn to ashes as it landed before nightfall, or it's landed when the sun set. So it was a symbolism. And the symbolism is that people could be on the lower form of Scorpio, which is the scorpion, which is basically being backbit, betrayal, right? The also just baseless sex, right? Sex that's not going to enhance your consciousness, sex that's not going to help you reach a higher vibration, right? Now, what am I talking about? The higher vibration, all these during sex. Of course it felt good. You know what I'm saying? I was up in it. Like we were surfboarding, right? Of course, it's excellent. It's great, right? What I'm talking about is the partner that you are choosing to connect with, to connect spiritual energy. Sex is sacred energy exchange. So are you just with someone just for your selfish needs or just to get one off, right? Is this a person that you really care about their well-being? Is this a person that really cares about you? What type of energy or energetic connection do you and this person have on a regular basis? In all relationships or all type of situationships, there's points where, there are disagreements, where there's opposition, right? The best relationships sort those things out really quick, or they have very little of it, right? They usually try to solve the problems real quick without casting blame on each other, or they just get along to the point where they rarely have disagreements. But nonetheless, there's always that. But if you're in a relationship, you want to make sure that the person that you're with wants to see you do well, and you want to make sure that you also want for the person that you're with to do well. So you want to see them do well, and they want to see you do well. And when you are in that type of relationship with someone that you are having sexual intercourse with, someone that you are exchanging saliva with and sweat with, and your pores are opening up literally while you're having sex and pouring your waters into the other person, right? Even if you have on, a condom, there's still an exchange of, there's still an exchange of these porous openings in the waters of you. So understanding this full moon in Scorpio, there's the energy where people just want to trauma bond, right? People want to bond based off their childhood trauma, based on fulfilling needs that the parents didn't provide. And they are with people that remind them of their parents, right? I can say for myself, I have dated people that were like my mother without even realizing. Just going through life and encountering the hero's journey, you meet people that fit certain archetypes. And the archetype of my mother was in a lot of my relationships. Now, they weren't just like my mother or some, Oedipus type of thing, but they were more so where, Oedipus is a whole crazy Greek story, right? But they were more so where they had certain characteristics that I was nurtured on that were replicating. And until I started working on healing the childhood trauma and doing the shadow work, which is what the Scorpio energy is also about, going into the depths of who you are, going into the depths of your past, and bringing up things like me and Michael Bell had in our Doctor Strange 2 video, bringing up things that have occurred. And the things that have occurred, look at what value you learned from them. Look at how much you progressed. Look at what was good about them. That's turning the ashes in the Ben stone into the phoenix. Now, if you focus on strictly what went wrong, what the issue was, what the problem was, the trauma, now you are the scorpion with the stinger in their back, and you are literally stinging yourself, right? And not only are you stinging yourself, because you're stinging yourself, you're also stinging others with that scorpion tail in your back. Scorpions are low to the ground. They represent a low vibration. This does not mean that also they're Scorpios when they're negative vibration, they're usually very possessive, very, want to hold on to everything. They're in that claw, very jealous, right? While insecurity is also a part of that, right? Wanting to hold on, doesn't feel like they could ever replicate or get something back. Could even be in a hoarder type of energy, right? So that crustacean, that shell, right? That crustacean energy. Same thing like a Cancer, where Cancer is a little different emotionally, but a Scorpio is more so passionate because of that Phoenix type energy that is in. But if that Phoenix type energy is used improperly, it is strictly just about sex, right? It's strictly just about sex and that's why Scorpio also deals with sex. Because if you look at the stinger on a scorpion, again, it's like something phallic, right? But it also shoots out venom, right? So the venom could be comparable to semen, but it also has it's like the scorpion stinger. Let's look at a scorpion real quick. So let's look at the scorpion stinger. Scorpion probably gonna show me something. Okay, so get a good picture of the scorpion. Okay, so if you look at this, right, this is definitely something phallic. You could see this is definitely something that represents a man's lingam, the penis, right? But you could also say it is vaginal too, because if you look at the clitoris on a woman, you will see that it looks like a phallus. See, the ancestors, especially those who were trained in Egyptian Kemetic mystery school system, let's see if this comes up. See if they have some pictures. Okay. Studying anatomical similarities between penises and clitorises. Now, right? If you look at this, I thought they would turn. I thought this was a way to turn it. Doesn't make sense. Okay. So if you look at the penis and if you look at the clitoris, right, you notice that they're the same thing, right? So if you look at these two, and you look at the scorpion, there's that picture of the eye. Let's do this again. You look at that and you look at the scorpion, you'll notice that you're seeing the same archetype, right? The sacred geometry, right? So you're looking at, so you see how it is phallic in nature, but so is the vagina, okay? And, you know, we were born XX before we were XY. We always come out feminine first. It takes 6 weeks. 6 weeks. This is the math of this. Woman to man. It takes 6 weeks for the XX chromosome turn into an XY chromosome. So the XX chromosome is the feminine chromosome. That's the chromosome that's produced first before you become anything. You start off as female. Those are the female chromosomes. And then after 6 weeks, then the man turns into an XY chromosome. So the XY is the changing of the XX chromosome. Now, when you're talking about the scorpion energy, that's how it relates to sexuality. Oh, and the 6 weeks, going back real quick to the 6 weeks. It takes 6 weeks from the XX to turn into an XY chromosome for the woman to turn into a man, right? But we all start off as women in the biological world, right? This does not mean that men are weaker. It does not mean that men don't have value. It doesn't mean that men are mutations. It just means that we are created at different times, right? Just because the iPhone 1 was first doesn't mean it's better than the iPhone 13 or the iPhone 14 to come, right? It just was first. It doesn't mean the iPhone 14, if it didn't have the iPhone 1 to create it, the iPhone 13 wouldn't be here if the iPhone 1 wasn't created first, right? So they both have their values, right? None is better than the other. They both need each other to work. So when you're talking about this sexual energy, right, of Scorpio and this bonding, it is basically the base lower level if you look at it like that. And especially if you are trauma bonding with someone. Today would be a day where a lot of people may be experiencing breakups, or you're experiencing clashes with your partner. You're going through arguments. You're having separation issues and things like that, or thinking about separating, right? This is when it's on its lowest level. If you're thinking about transforming the relationship, or if you're not in a relationship, transforming yourself, or just even if you're in a relationship, you should want to transform yourself, but becoming that Phoenix type of energy where you want to, when the day starts, you want to be thinking in your highest height. See, the Phoenix is representation of these same sexual organs. The Phoenix is a representation of these same two sexual organs, right? But it is what it is what comes out of the penis and the clitoris, right? It fires off, right? A girl that's a squirter, right, can do the same thing. She fires off and shoots out a liquid the same way a man does. They fire off and shoot out a liquid, right? So it is a firing off, though. It is a shooting out. It's a masculine type of energy. It's a scorpion stinging type of energy, right? So but that scorpion sting could be venom if you are trauma bonding. and if you are with the wrong person. So when you look at those particular organs, and then you look at the Scorpion, it makes more sense as to why they say Scorpio is the most sexual, because when the ancients looked at it, they saw those parallels. Now, there's also a very, Scorpio is also ruled by Mars and Pluto. So the planet Mars is about becoming a warrior. It's about a degree of aggression, right? It's about pure power, right? Which is what the Phoenix is, which is what sexual arousal is. When you are, or when people are inside and doing, or inside of a ritual, and they are in a drummer circle, and they're chanting, and they're drumming, and they're hugging, right? And they might just be in the most passionate trance that they could be in, right? In order to conjure up a spirit, the spirit is conjured up through arousal. This is why music is also so powerful with changing your frequency and changing your vibration. If you saw Doctor Strange 2, when they were having the vibration wars between Doctor Strange and the Dark Doctor Strange, where they were shooting music at each other, right? Because of the power of music to change mood, and the power of music and sounds to heal. This is why binaural beats, isochronic tones, these things are valuable, right? So in these depths, you have to look, in these particular Scorpio depths, you have to look at what side are you on, because this is going to magnify, right? Are you on the Phoenix transformative vibe, right? When the ashes, when night comes and the Phoenix turns to ash, it is basically a time of rest and reflection, right? Remember, your body is preparing you to go to sleep. Now, because we live in North America, or we have different schedules in the world, some people work nights. That's understandable, right? If you do work nights, then you have to use the morning, you have to use the sun as your beacon, right? If you work days like most people, then you have to use the night as your beacon. So a person that works at night would have to do a lot of their heavy spiritual lifting in the morning, you know, in the mornings, whatever time they get in, do their spiritual lifting, so to speak. And this would be your meditation. This would be your breath work. This would be your breath work, meditation. This would be your, if you're working with doing like scrying exercises, where you're looking at some sort of sacred geometry, or looking at an object and fishing for images, or staring at a candle, right? When you look at a candle, it actually opens up your hippocampus. So it opens up your memory centers of your brain, and you are able to heal the memory centers of your brain. Because what happens is, whenever you take in a thought, your hypothalamus takes the emotion and turns it into a chemical. Your amygdala part of your brain registers that emotion feels good to you or if it feels bad to you. And what the hippocampus does is the hippocampus remembers, right? There's two hippocampi, which is the Ammon's horn, which is also the ram, right? And this is how, if you think about you as a child, this is how you learn. This is how you learn. You experienced how things felt, if they were good for you or if things were bad for you. And the things that felt good to you, you started moving towards, you started working with, you started engaging with. The things that felt bad for you, you didn't. And this is how you started over time to develop a persona or a personality, right? Which is what you come out with in the day-to-day world when the Phoenix is rising from the Ben zone, when you wake up and go about your day, right? So the Scorpio energy can be high or low. We're not talking about good or bad, because when we look at nature, is the lion bad for eating the gazelle, right? Is the spider bad for eating the fly, right? Those things don't exist. Is the wolf bad for eating the chicken? right? This is nature. There is no, those moral aspects are put on humans, right? In order to, because we have the ability to reason, right? And we have the ability to think outside of just our base emotions, which are also called instincts, right? We have the ability to reason and come forth in collectives and create things. When you think about a bird, right? Or you think about a phoenix, a bird doesn't have hands, right? A bird has talons, but it's really just like big ass hooked feet, right? A bird talons is nothing but big ass hooked feet. So when you're talking about a phoenix, now you're talking about when you're talking about a phoenix, now you're talking about using your hands to fly, so to speak. And what do I mean by using your hands to fly? This is using your hands to create. This is using your hands to build things. This is using your hands to make something happen for yourself, right? Not just sitting idle, not just thinking things are just going to magically come to you because you light a candle or because you wear some crystals or because you take spiritual baths or because you know the zodiac. Things are not just going to come to you. You have to go and make things happen. So the Scorpio energy, although it's depicted as the scorpion and although it is a sexual sign, it's also a transformation sign. It's also a death sign, right? The Scorpio shoots out poison, okay? Scorpio shoots out venom. Scorpion bites can kill, right? So when we're talking about that poison, you have to really, really get to who are the death, what are you really, right? What are you really? And what are you really here to do? Because you could be poisonous. And because you're poisonous, you're walking around stinging others and don't even really know it. You're running around hurting people and you don't even really realize it. Because this is how you're taught to survive. This is how you were taught to live. You were raised in harsh environments. You may have had a hard parenting. You may have gone through difficult personal relationships. You may have had issues with money, right? You may have been, bred by people who didn't care about you, right? Raised by people who didn't really love you. So you are operating in a certain mannerism and you've created a certain persona, right? Through things that are good and bad and ways to protect yourself and survive. You've created a certain persona because Scorpio is also a fixed sign, remember. So it is very, very, very hard to change. This is time when hard change and going a different direction is going to take work, right? But the good thing is we also have Jupiter that went into Aries. So Jupiter going into Aries, Jupiter is the planet of expansion. It's the planet of growth, right? And Aries is dealing again with those horns of Ammon or the hippocampus or what records your emotional memory, right? So because Ammon, horns of Ammon is also Aries, and that is the two hippocampi on both sides of your brain, right? The left and right hemisphere, there's two hippocampus. There's the hippocampus, but it's split up into two hippocampi. And the funny thing is, even if you look at the hippocampus, let's look at this, right? Venus, Clitoris, how they're the same. We saw how that was the scorpion. And let's look at so see if I can get a good picture. Now the hippocampus looks like a seahorse, right? It does look like a seahorse. Now this is on both sides though, but you could also say it looks like could also say it looks like a Scorpio. See the tail, the body, right? Let's look at the hippocampus. Okay, it doesn't have the claw aspects, but if you take the claw aspect, this damn sure looks like, you know, a stinger, right? Just the way I see it. I could be wrong, but there's two of them, right? On both sides of the brain. And let's see if we get a picture. I think this is, let me see if this is a good one. All right, this is actually a good picture. So these two hippocampi, as you see right here, right? These are on both sides of the brain. So this Aries energy is represented by these two. That's why they're horns, right? Also dealing with, we have the sun in Taurus right now. So dealing with the sun in Taurus energy is also dealing with these two horns. Now, if you look where the hippocampus is, you see it's very close to the eye socket, right? You see it's very close. The eyes are right here. You see it's very close to the eyes. So even though, and even if you look to the side right here, you see as it shoots out, because this also, once this is affected, this also produces chemicals in the brain. Hippocampus produces chemicals. So it sends these chemicals also to the eyes. So it affects how you visualize. It affects your perception, these particular chemicals, depending on the cocktail that you have within. So it goes back to what we were discussing earlier. Are you poisonous? Are you a poisonous person? Do you have venom in you? Are you walking around with so much trauma that you have venom in you? So Jupiter in Aries also means that this is expanded, right? Aries has to do with the start of things. Aries has to do with new beginnings. Aries is series season is the start of spring, right? That's, and Aries is Easter, you know, Easter, and Aries is Passover, right? Because these are rites that recognize the cosmology of the universe. See, there's a time to plant seeds and there's a time not to plant seeds. People say that you can transverse, you know, astrology and using the planetary bodies as forces of energy to help guide you and position you, right? People say that you know, you can stop using that. There's no reason to use that. You know, I will disagree. I'll say because you have to plant a seed at a certain time, and all seeds don't work the same, right? You can't plant a tree the same way you plant a tomato plant, right? There's different conditions for different things. Or maybe not say that, because you could say you could create a tomato tree, right? But you plant a potato way different than you plant a tree, right? Do you plant a watermelon different than you plant a a money tree, right? Or you plant a pine tree, right? So everything and different trees grow in different environments as well, right? A cactus is a tree, right? But it grows in the desert, right? It's way different than like a vine tree, which would be in like a jungle type of environment, right? That type of marsh type of environment. So you have to ask yourself during this full moon of Scorpio, what is it that you have to heal from? Also, I want to talk about, I know I've been going for a minute, so I don't want to make this too long, but I want to talk about rest in power to everyone that was caught up in that top shooting in Buffalo, New York. Even though that's in New York State, it's still close to home. And, you know, anybody could be going to the store at any particular time. So, you know, it's a tragedy that happened. Now, I think that there's some hocus pocus behind it. I think it was done right before this full blood moon to kind of direct melanated people, so-called Black folks, to focus on trauma again, to focus on hurt from the past, to focus on the effects of slavery, Jim Crow, redlining, the effects of racism, the effects of job discrimination, the effects of lynching, right? And all the other atrocities that go along with discrimination. However, whatever you focus on expands. And this full moon, this full supermoon is a blood moon. So wherever you're watching this between now and at least Wednesday of this week, 2022, I believe it's the 18th, when it'll start, like the effects will kind of not linger. But because it's a super moon and a super blood moon and a lunar eclipse, you're gonna get about a fourth day, right? So look for the effects to linger till about Wednesday. Also, there's solar flares in the air as well, which is also heightening and expanding the energy. And the Scorpio energy, again, is right with the sun and Taurus. So it's perfect. It's like Scorpio is basically like, there's two sides, you know, those two sides that I told you about earlier, where you're as Lord of Scorpion or you are a Phoenix, but it's also death involved in that, because death is the same way, right? That you get put in the dirt, your body gets put in the dirt, right? But your soul, your inner fire, right? Your inner self, your so-called spirit lives on, right? Your energy lives on. This is why you could do things like communicate with your ancestors. This is why even on a base level, you'll have dreams with your ancestors, maybe a parent that has passed away, or a cousin or a best friend or aunt, things like that, who have passed away. Some people even channel celebrities that pass away because they have that ability, right? So those abilities will also be heightened as well. Psychic abilities, clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, all the clairs, right, are heightened. When you're dealing with Scorpio energy, you're particularly dealing with two chakras. The two chakras you're dealing with are the root chakra, which is your security chakra, which is food, clothing, and shelter, and security and fear, right? And you're dealing with the next chakra up, which is the sacral chakra. And the sacral chakra is your sexuality, your emotions, and your feelings, right? Sacral is dealing with the waters, right? In your body, the sacred in your body, or the secretions in your body. Take that back to the hippocampus, take that back to the sexual organs, right? Take that back to the venom in the scorpion as well, right? To see how this same secret, sacred secretion type of theme, right? And dealing with the fuel, or the fuel that will spark the phoenix in you, or the fuel that will make you the venomous scorpion. We live in a world where there are cycles. Pluto is also a sign of death, right? A planet of death and transformation, which is also part of Scorpio. And as I was talking about the TOPS situation earlier, the shooting in Buffalo, New York, with the people that were in a grocery store called TOPS. If you look at Scorpio's tail, let's look at the scorpion again. If you look at the Scorpio's tail, you will see, right? And let's look at a top. Top toy, right? Now, to me, right, if you look at the top of the toy, it kind of looks like the scorpion's tail. Look at the top, right? And I'm talking about the old school tops, you know, like this bottom half kind of looks like, you know, even this one kind of looks like, you know, kind of looks like the scorpion's tail. So, and we know, they say, now They're saying 10 people died, 12 people got shot. That number adds up to 23. Kendrick dropped the heart 5, right? 2 plus 3 is 23, right? 10 people got shot, 12 people injured out of those. So that's 23 people in all. No, I'm sorry. I'm bugging. No, 10 people got shot, 13 people got injured. So that's 23, right? 10 people got shot, 13 people got injured. Let's just double check this. Okay. So maybe I'm wrong. 10 dead. Okay, so it's 13. It's 13, not 23. Okay. So that destroys that that conspiracy theory I was stringing up. But I'd rather be wrong. But it was 13 shot, all right? But yeah, it's 13 shot. That's what I was seeing. I was seeing 13 shot, 10 killed. That's what it is. 13 shot. I just saw as I closed it up. I'm like, I know I ain't crazy. I saw this. Hold on, I'm gonna show y'all. So y'all don't think I'm crazy. 13 shot, 10 dead. All right. So that's where I got 23. 10. So you see that? 13 shot, then 10 dead. I ain't crazy. All right. That's what I saw initially when I read it. So when we're talking about this Tops incident, it's obviously a sign of death. They said the guy pulled up about 2:30 p.m. So 2:30 p.m. That's the number 5 as well. Kendrick dropped the heart 5 as well last Sunday, and so that was right in between, because the week before last Sunday there was the solar eclipse in Taurus. Then we had Kendrick drop the heart 5, where he morphed into Nipsey and he morphed into Kobe, right? And this is the same week that Kevin Samuels died, right? Which was, you could say, is a lower Scorpio type of polarity. And the image of Kevin Samuels, his persona was a more Scorpio stinging type of personality, where you have Kendrick with the heart 5, which came to balance out or Phoenix redeem that energy and bring back the dead, essentially, right? Because he brought back Nipsey, he brought back Kobe, he put even not just the physical dead, but he brought back kind of the spiritual dead with bringing up OJ, right? And he also had Juicy Smollett, right? These are people who kind of fell out of consciousness, but he brought them back up. And he also brought in Will Smith, which is kind of like, Will Smith is kind of like this guy that was always viewed as good for most of his life. And now for the rest of his life, he's going to have now this perception of a bad guy because of what he did at the Oscars. So it's an ill type, like he's in between both kind of. So both polarities of that heart, that 5 with those 5 people, right? But he was also showing different dimensions of the heart, right? Different dimensions of the heart, which also taps into that, Scorpio energy. Also, Kanye dropped a video where he was a child, right? Reflecting he was rapping through his childhood pictures. I forgot the name of the song, but he was rapping through his childhood pictures of him as a child. So that childlike heart is one thing that we want to work on during these times. But going back to the top situation, it's just showing you these different parallels of negative and positive and the way to kind of look at these things. You know what I'm saying? What else do I want to talk about? I think that's pretty much it. Mercury is also in retrograde. So Jupiter came when Aries May 11th. So that energy is still there if you choose to ride aboard. This is going to cause you to take new actions. This is going to cause you to go through new directions. This is going to cause you to have to go through new things. This is also going to cause you to have to overcome some things, overcome some fears, overcome some limitations, overcome things that are holding you back, and tap into the depths of your true heart desires and how you want to make your hands get you these wings, right? Because again, when we're talking about the phoenix or we're talking about a bird, they don't have hands, right? They have talons on their feet, their hands or their wings. So what are you going to create with your hands that is going to grow wings? What are you going to do? And again, your dream is your dream. You don't have to make what the depth of you match with somebody else's idea of you, your parents, your friends, society, the world. This is the age of Aquarius. This is the age of the individual pouring out that water. Scorpio's a water sign as well. So pouring out that water from their heart. Again, the sun is in Taurus. So the sun represents the ego, and the ego is caught up in comforts, what's comfortable, the comfort zone, right? Taurus is about comfort as well. Taurus is also about commerce, right? We have this Mercury retrograde. Mercury is a planet of commerce as well. So it's going retrograde. You see what's happening with the stock market and the crypto market, right? With these historic lows and how much money the market is losing already. Be prepared for something stinging, something out of nowhere. Could be the stock market crash coming, right? But this is definitely a sign of new things to come, right? Possibly a new currency, the new cryptocurrencies coming out, the USDC coin, I believe it's called, or United States coin. Look out for them trying to pass new laws, possibly about social media, possibly about how people are communicating, right? These new things that that there's these new things that they're proposing. With the sun in Taurus, the month of the bull. The bull is nothing but a male cow, right? So when you're looking at the bull motif of the Taurus, you also have to look at the cow motif, right? And when you're looking at this bull motif, well, I'm sorry, when you're looking at the cow, well, bull motif is the stock market. You're looking at the cow motif, you're looking at the man. Anyway, I lost that thought. But maybe that's maybe the universe is trying to tell me to cut this video down and basically tell you guys to focus on, as always, becoming the best version of you. Focus on you becoming the magic that you need to be. Go within yourself and fight your battles within. Go into meditation. That's where you go into your battle zone. That's where you go into your healing. Face the trauma and face your trauma and face your abusers on your own terms. In your imagination, you could be anything. And I know there's trauma that's deep, that hurts, that's intrinsic, that it's hard to shake. But you have to do the work of shaking it, because, and not shaking it meaning that you're going to forget about the things that happened, right? You're going to forget about the death, but whatever happened, right? There's people that lost their family members in this top shooting. It was a sign, right? Scorpio's a full super blood moon, right? So there was blood spilled, right? Scorpio's about betrayal, right? People are right now thinking of, wanting to start race wars and race riots and all that, right? Maybe somebody Black will try to do the same thing to white people, right? Scorpio's that type of energy, especially with these heightened emotions, and again, Scorpio on that lowest level is about revenge. So got to really be careful. Got to really be careful out here. Talk to your family, talk to your children, make sure they're on point, right? And have a bird a phoenix is high in the sky, right? They're looking and they have a perception of the whole landscape. They're not just looking at one thing, right? They have a bird's eye view, so to speak. So you want to have a bird's eye view of this world. You don't want to get too emotionally involved in things that are not going to make your life better. You don't want to get too emotionally involved in people that are not helping you to grow. You don't want to get emotionally involved in even this social media to where you're losing yourself and you're losing your direction and you're losing your own goals or purpose chasing dopamine hits, right? And chasing attention, and chasing likes, right? Make sure that you are doing things that are moving you forward into your dreams, into your goals, and into you becoming the most magical version of you. And the best way to do that is arousing the life force within you through meditation, through your daydreams, through breathing, exercising, through fitness and working out, through health and diet, through visualization, through study, through watching the emotions that you take in, through healing childhood and relationship trauma, right? Through forgiving those that may have hurt you, right? Because you got to let the energy go. And you don't forgive others meaning that you forgive them and you're going to take them back, or you forgive them and you're going to allow them back in your cipher. No, but you let the energy go. You realize that they went through certain things, and this is what real empathy is. This is the depths, the waters, right? Scorpio waters, where you realize that that person went through some sort of hardship or struggle to make them who they are now. And you also realize that you went through certain hardships and struggles that made you who you are now. And maybe you made different decisions based on the opportunities you had versus that person making decisions based on the opportunities they had at whatever given time, whether it was childhood, teenage age, middle, or even in adulthood with the relationships that they chose, right? So this is what we're looking at. Again, that Taurus energy is in effect, that ego Taurus, right? That energy of joy. Make sure you're finding joy in life. Make sure you're finding joy in the things that you want to indulge in the things that you want to see. Make sure you're enjoying your life. Make joy is sustainable. You can find joy every day through music. You can find joy every day through laughter. You have the internet, you have a smartphone, you can find comedies, you can find things to make you smile. You can find different personalities of people that can make you smile. Every day you should be chasing smiles, and every day you should be doing things that make you happy. And everything has polarity, so you also have to do things that are going to further your life, right? Such as work, such as take care of the kids, and also develop your spirit, right? And developing your spirit is nothing more than emotional intelligence. Managing your emotions on a continuous basis. And that's what the Scorpio energy is all about if you're using it in a phoenix. Always flying to your highest height. Always burning the fire for your passions and your innermost desire. And what arouses you in life. What makes you want to live. What makes you the happiest. And what is the vision of that? What does that look like? How can you expand that? What can you do with these wings to expand that energy and make it big? Happy full moon of Scorpio. Again, this energy is going to last for the next 3 days. You want to light candles, you can light candles. Go into meditation though. Ponder what you're going to tackle. Have visions of who you're going to be, what you're going to be, right? Make sure you're not poisonous to others. If you are around poisonous people, do your best to make a plan so you could get yourself out of that situation, right? Sometimes you're forced to be in situations you don't want to be in, and that's okay. But you have to have a plan, and you have to start making some steps to get out. And if you see no way out, then start talking to yourself and ask yourself for a way out, and your inner self will guide you. Go into prayer if you don't know how to meditate. Go into nature if you don't know how to do either, right? And go in silence though. Go into your quiet room and meet God. That's what this is about. This is a time of inner exploration, right? Make time for that. Make 15 to 20 minutes a day for that, an hour if you can. Study, meditation, silence, right? Research, right? Critical thinking, analyzing what you've been taking in. Don't get caught up in the outside world or what you see on the surface, or you will get stuck. Don't get emotionally involved in negative tragedies that have nothing to do with you or your family. Make sure you're taking care of what you need to take care of, and make sure everything you do is also strategic, not just emotional, because emotions are heightened right now. That's that water energy. So make sure you're being strategic and making sure that what you do is well thought out. Again, happy full moon in Scorpio. I hope everything made sense. Again, rest in power to all the people in Buffalo. If you like, please hit that like button, subscribe button. Peace, power, and prosperity. I love you.